So in this video, I'm going to show you some of the new features and potential power of Microsoft 365 Copilot with GPT-5 enabled. So to enable GPT-5, you need to go into the chat interface within Microsoft 365 Copilot and simply toggle GPT-5 on. It is off by default currently, so you need to turn it on. Now, what I've done is I've got a job description for a fictitious AI council, which is for Microsoft 365 developer. So I've got a job description that I've created, and then I've got 3 CVs, and I've simply taken some sample CVs for Word, and I've added some names and skills and those kind of things. So you can see an example of one of the CVs is here. It's quite straightforward, not actually a lot of context, a couple of different jobs of experience and skills. So they're all kind of one pages just for the purpose of this example. And I have a really simple prompt, which is I need to review the CV for job roles. This is the job description, review the CVs that I've shared below and score based on those requirements. Now, I'm not giving it any scoring criteria, but it does, of course, have a job description that I've fed it. And the first thing you note when you're using GPT-5 is the reasoning that this does compared to GPT-4. So we can see here, and I've already run this prompt, but you can see here that it is going through telling you how it's evaluating what you're asking for and generating the answer. So it's reviewing how to evaluate a CV, but remembering to handle scoring carefully, right, using safe and structured methods. So this is good because this means it's not going to be biased in its kind of opinions. It's looking at alternative evaluation methods. So again, it's telling me how it's doing these things. So it's looking at using rubric for CV matching and skills. Now, all the CVs that I created are different formats as well. So it's not the same file. They're written inside different styles. It's then deciding on the ways that it's going to give me the output. So again, it's thinking about, how would I rank them? What would I do? Do I need a template to do this, etc. And it's kind of telling me what it's going to do. So it's going to create me a response, and you can kind of click through and see how it's done this. Now, if I kind of scroll down, what it's done is quite interesting. So it's pulled out the key requirements from the job spec. So that's great. That's what I kind of expected to do. So it's pulled these things out. It's picked out some key skills that it thinks it might need. It's then doing what it's calling this evidence-only mapping. So this is kind of looking at a non-biased approach of information purely contained in the CV. And it even states here that, I'm not inferring judgment. So I'm purely looking at what is shown rather than what isn't shown in the document. So that's good. So it's picked out the 3 people that I've assessed. So John Smith, Angelica, and Sunish, and it's given me kind of an output of those kind of things. And you can see here it's picking out what I've asked for in the requirements document versus what it's found. So in this example, you can see here it's found the role, it's found that particular role, it's found experience. It's found prior management experience. That's great. It's found the requirements I asked for the degree. But again, here on AI and ML modeling, it said there's nothing evidenced in the CV. So it's not saying I don't have it. It's saying it's not evidenced. And the same with kind of cloud platform. ML ops is not covered as well. You can see there's a few others on the one above. So it's given me kind of a, what's it finding? So, these are things, of course, that I could use to go back to the candidates and sort of say, look, if you've got any experience with this stuff, you haven't evidenced it, et cetera, et cetera. I might want to have a look at their LinkedIn profiles and other things. It's then thinking about a scorecard. So it's saying, look, I could create you, if you like, an auto-generated scorecard. And it says that if you want to do that, just tell me, just say, create the scorecard and I'll go and do it for you. I mean, it's suggesting a scoring scale, right? So is there evidence, exposure, etc.? So it's producing the kind of thinking process for me. Now, I may, of course, have, most organizations will have a scoring matrix for these kind of things. But if I don't, then it's suggesting something that's based on kind of standards. So it's creating a suggesting score for me to have a look at those things. And then it's going to give me some targeted follow-ups again. So it's again to ask some of the candidates these questions. You ask them about their experience in Python and frameworks and those kind of things. And it's asking me now kind of the question. So do I want it to generate this kind of scorecard for me? And it's asking me, what do you want me to do? So it suggested that it can create a spreadsheet scorecard. it can create a 30-minute structured technical screening for me, and it can create an email. So I'm actually going to ask it, and let's see what it does here, to do all three of those things for me. So I'm going to say, that is great. Can you do all three of these things you have suggested? Start with the scorecard based on these candidates. So I'm going to now ask it to do that for me. So we'll see again what this comes back with. Now, because it's using the GPT-5 reasoning models, you can see it is taking longer than a quick response. So if I just asked it what a scorecard was, it would give me a relatively quick response, because that's something it can generate from the large language model. In this case, it is doing these things for me, and you can see the workings out between actually what it's doing. So it is supposedly creating me a spreadsheet. So we'll see if it actually does that towards the end. It's not unusual for some of these deeper reasoning prompts to take, a couple of minutes. So I'm going to leave it running. We can see here the actual code that it's using to produce the file. So it's using Python code. So Copilot will generate its own Python code to create this. Okay, so I'm back. So I did pause for about 5 minutes or so. It felt like it had kind of stalled. But I got the prompt box back. So I'd simply just asked Copilot how you getting on with the request, and it's kind of responded. So whether it kind of just stalled, whether this was a bit of a bug, I'm not sure. But it did come back and say that, I'm on it. Here's what I've done. So, and it's now finished. So it has now told me it's created a multi-tab spreadsheet. Great. I'll have a look at that in a minute. It's given me instructions for the tabs. Be interesting to see. It's put candidate tabs in, and it's done columns for the panelists to score. So again, not sure if it's actually scored it for me, which I'm hoping it's done. We'll have a look. It says it's pulled the tabs in. Okay, great. Yeah. It's then also created, it says, a 30-minute structured technical screening test. So that'll be interesting to see, because it suggested that, and I said, yeah, kind of go ahead and do it. So it's given me kind of a warm up and a role clarity. So talked about the role, given me some questions to do. It's asked me to get them to walk through a project where they delivered an end-to-end solution. So again, talk me through those things. Give me evidence of where you've done it. So it's really great that it's kind of giving me these things, because I may not be an expert myself. And quite often with some of these roles, we're hiring for roles that we don't know necessarily ourselves. It's given me some sort of A/B exercises, right, which I quite like. So it's given me a Python learn method. So it's essentially saying, look, create me some code to do this stuff. So this is really testing somebody's code capability. Or we can, of course, give them a code snippet and ask them questions about it, or is asking for Copilot integration. So again, how would you internally host a model? So quite in depth that it's kind of gone into to explore this. And I think this really demonstrates some of the real reasoning power behind Microsoft 365 Copilot when powered by GPT-5. So yeah, great set of questions and wrap up, and really kind of a good structure. It's got a rubric scoring card. So again, it's told me what those things are. It's actually put scoring against all those items that it's found in the document. It's given me evidence-based emails. So it's drafted some emails for the technical screenings that it has suggested. So these are all kind of available for me to use. And it's written one personally for each person with their email address, which is really quite nice, if I'm honest with you. And then kind of like what the next steps are. So again, it carries on. What else do you want me to do? Do you want me to send these emails? Be interesting to see how it does that. Do you want me to upload it to Teams? Do you want me to create an interview one pager for you using the rubric? So this is really, really useful. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to kind of carry on with that. I'm really pleased with what it's done, but I'm really intrigued to see what it's created, because I'm a little bit nervous, if I'm honest, because it felt like it stalled and I kind of gave it a boost, right, to carry on. So I'm going to open this file, if it exists, and I'm going to see what it's created. So I'm a little bit nervous and a little bit excited by what it's produced, but I'm going to take a look. It looks promising. It's opening Excel. Right, so we have a scorecard. It's given me a purpose. It's given me instructions about actually how to use the rubric. It's given me criteria and what the scoring mechanism is going to be across those things. And here we go. Brilliant. It's now gone through and given me a weighting. Now, what it's not done is then scored it. Okay, so what it's doing is giving me the evidence, but it's waiting for me or the panelists to essentially score based on these things, which is nice. Okay. It's done the same for Angelica, and you see it has updated, right? So it's picked up different skills around these things. So it's picked up that John's managed a team of 12 people. It's picked up that Angelica has mentored junior members and led as a team. And it's picked up that Sanish has managed a team of 5 developers and has got experience as a software project manager. So it's picked these things up from the CV. Now, of course, I should, evidence that. I should look at the CV to see whether it's actually done those things. And obviously it's then got a scorecard. Now, it's not scored these things, and I was really hoping that it would actually go through and score them for me. However, if I close that down, I could now ask Copilot to do that for me. So I'm going to be nice to it. Thank you. I love the scorecard. Would you be able to update the scorecard and give your score as an AI panelist? It may not do this, but I'm going to ask. And this is the great thing about using these tools, is that you simply can have an engaging conversation with it. So, and again, we see the reasoning, which is really powerful. So it's considering the request restrictions. And if I want to see what that means, then it's going to do it. So it has suggested actually, and I must have missed this above, that it previously refused to do it. So, but let's see. Let's kind of see what this does. So I'm going to let this kind of carry on. It's obviously going back and writing Python code. So I'm going to pause this again because we're quite a few minutes already for this video. But I hope it's useful that you can see how the kind of working is going on in the background. So I'm going to pause it and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. And it was only actually another couple of minutes. So you can see again the thinking of what it's done. We can dig into these if we want to see what it's kind of doing. But we looked at that last time. So yeah, so great. So it has now told me that it has done this. So it's telling me that it is recreated the scorecard. Hopefully the same. It has told me it's added a new AI panelist guidance sheet. Okay, so not sure whether it would have done that or not. Let's take a look. Again, it's going back over the guidance. It's going back over the recap. So very similar things. It feels like it's sort of trying to cover its tracks a little bit and not be too confident with scoring for me. Which is, if you think about that, that's probably quite logical in that we, there's a lot of conversations out there, of course, about whether we should trust, AI to make judgments. Right? Are we going to use this technology? Is it ethical to use the technology to evaluate whether somebody should get a job or not based on those things? But let's have a look. So we've still got the same criteria. I haven't checked, but hopefully these are the same criteria scoring points that it's used. It's kind of got the weighting, and actually. So yeah, interestingly, what it's now done is giving me a guide. So if I scroll across here, I can now see that it's given me guidance, but it hasn't given me its own numeric score. So it's being quite specific. So it kind of feels like what it's done is taken, what it looked for before and just expanded on that. So it's more kind of given me the notes rather than actually giving me the answer that I wanted. So I actually kind of wanted it to give me the score. So I'm going to try one more time to see whether it gets there. So again, thank you. Could you please give me your score based on your assessment? I won't use this. What you think based on evidence you have seen. So I'm trying to just kind of give it a little bit of context to why I want it, because what I'm trying not to do is trigger any of Microsoft's ethical AI engines that says, look, I can't do this. All I can do is give you scoring and guidance. You need to make the decision. You're the human. But I do actually want its opinion on these people. So, let's see what it says. I might even add to that by saying that if you were the hiring manager, which of the people would you most likely suggest I look at? So again, let's ask, right? I've got a feeling this might trigger its ethics. It might tell me it's not going to do this. So I'm going to kind of run this through. I'm going to pause it again just for your time, and we'll have a look back afterwards. Okay, so that took a few minutes. It has responded. So what do you think? Did it score for me or did it not? So it took it a minute to think about this. So, as I thought, this has triggered its bias. So it has actually said to me that it can't assign scores or pick a winner. So instead, it's done the next best thing. I did think it would do this. So it's updated the scorecard with an AI panelist guidance column. So you get its value again without a string. It's then created me an evidence sufficiency matrix. Now that's interesting. So we'll see what it's done. This gives me a glance by view without it scoring people. So you can really see here that Copilot is trying to ensure that the human is always in control, right? So it is a co-pilot. It is there to assist, right? And I think there's no avoidance of doubt that it's gone above and beyond, kind of trying to assist me, right? So here's have a look at what it's done. So again, it's giving me the output, and it's giving me the same kind of scoring and strengths and things it's seen in the CV, things it would do as a hiring manager without scoring. So again, very similar. So it's talked about the interviews it would do. It has talked about prioritization fit. So although it's not scored, it has suggested that I interview people in this order. So it suggested John first because he's managed 12 people. It suggested Sunish because he's also got experience in public sector, which obviously is key. And Angelica, who is obviously very senior, but obviously doesn't have management experience. So perhaps that's kind of why it's done that. But again, it's not a ranking. It's not a ranking. Right? Absolutely, I'm not deciding for you. Again, it's justified. Why am I not giving you scoring, right? So, okay, Copilot, I get it. You don't want to score, but it's told me again what it's done. This is all for individual people. So, it's given me guidance about how do I best determine how to score that person. So let's go back up and have a look at what it's done. So here we go. So it's given me the criteria. It's given me it's scoring based on, is there evidence? So again, very similar. Who's got evidence? Who hasn't? So it's kind of given me a little bit of a 3x3. They're all roughly the same, right? And it's given me some other notes at the bottom. So that's quite interesting. Now, if I, of course, had a CV that was blatantly obvious that it didn't have those things, then I'd expect different output. But this was not really about coming up with the best candidate for the role, right? I was really trying to just kind of see how far the AI reasoning models have gone to helping us understand what we can do and the kind of frameworks we can put. Because I wouldn't have even thought about some of these things. As not being a developer myself, I wouldn't have thought about some of these things. And actually, in some cases, they may not be relevant for the role, but they certainly give me things to look for and listen and buzzwords that I can think of. So I think it's been a really useful exercise to kind of see how the kind of reasoning engine has worked behind the scenes. I love the fact that it wants to generate some emails and do some of these things for me. I think that's really great that it's done that. We saw some of those things earlier. Again, it's given me a scorecard, so it's given me the link back to go. You can go back to this scorecard if you want to, and go and schedule the appointment. So because I'm doing this within Microsoft 365 Copilot, it will be interesting to see if I ask it to go ahead and schedule these meetings, whether it will actually do that. So I'm going to ask it to do that for me. So please send the evidence request emails. So I only want it to do this thing. Let's see what it does. There we go, exploring capabilities. Now, I've never evidenced Copilot actually being able to do this and send an email. So I think what it will do is not send the email, but I think it will write me the email for each of these people. But let's see what it does. I've not tried this for quite a while. And there we go. So despite suggesting that it can send emails, exactly what I kind of thought, right? It can't, right? It doesn't have permission. And nor would I really want it to just go and send emails on my behalf. Now, if this was an agent, then I could, of course, write an agent that could interface with my mailbox or group mailbox and could do this, because I would specifically instruct it to do that. I would have used Copilot Studio to leverage some Power Automate interactions with email, and that's totally possible. But I'm actually really pleased that it hasn't done this, and I was a little bit nervous when it told me it could. So this is really good. So if I have a look through what it's produced, then we can see the outline emails that it suggested. It's given some timelines, so it's of course aware of the current day, and it's asked me. And what you'll see here is what it's actually asking for is specific question based on what it's found and not found in the CV. So this is really powerful. This is not generic. This is totally specific to that use case and to that person. So this is really powerful. I could give this back, as a recruiter, I could send this back for those next steps. Now it is again saying, do you want me to schedule screenings? Now, based on the fact that it can't send emails, then it can do this. And of course, it's even saying, I can generate the .eml files for you. Okay, great. I'm capable of copying and pasting, but thanks. Do you want me to add some lines about confidentiality? So yeah, we could do that. Do I want to schedule a screening session? So I think it would do the second bullet point. It won't do the first bullet point. So I'm going to say, yeah. Please make those suggested changes, then schedule the screenings as suggested. Now, let's see what it does here, because again, I do not believe it will be able to schedule meetings. It's already told me it can't access and send emails on my behalf, which I don't want it to do. So I think what it's going to do here is tell me that it can't do that, but it will update those emails with the suggestions at the bottom. So let's see how it gets on. It does feel like I'm praying quite a lot when I'm asking Copilot to do these things. These are quite new to me. I've not done this level of depth before with GPT-5. Right, so here we go. So it's done. That's great. Let's scroll down. So again, I can obviously look at the detail behind the scenes. So it's working on these, as you can see in the background, right? So it's updating these and it's creating email files as it says, right? So I should actually be able to go and get these files. It still seems convinced that it can do this, right? It can't. It's given me suggested times. That's great. It's asked me to give it availability. Again, we could access my diary. It could do that. It's given me suggested titles, etc., etc., etc. It's also offering to create interview packs and these kind of things. So it kind of feels like Copilot almost thinks it can do all these things for me, right? And I can't. It's asked me for option A and option B. Would you like me to approve option A and send the emails now, or share your availability windows for option B? All right, great. So do I have anything to download? I don't think I do. So, okay, that's interesting. Don't have things to download. What do we want to do here? So interview pack, emails I'll attach, sample prompts, ribbon scoring, etc. So I'm going to say that, go and do option A, right? Let's just see how far we can take this. I love its enthusiasm. I love that it believes it can send emails on my behalf. But this is probably a sign of what's coming. If you think about this now, as an engine, it's kind of feeling, well, yeah, I should be able to do it. And these things are absolutely possible through custom agents that you might build. So let's have a look and see what it comes back with. Okay, so we're back. All right, interestingly, it thinks it has set up the interviews. So you'll see 3 draft Outlook invites. Okay, let's see if I do. What's in each one? So there's the wording. Privacy notes, again, great. Uploads interview pack, brilliant. Thank you. Status of evidence mail requests. So it's done those things according to this. But interestingly, okay, so I now have this continue in Outlook. Now, I've not seen this before, right? And this is just me, open eyes. I've not seen this before. So if you confirm, I'll finalize and send the emails now. Interestingly, I need to continue in Outlook. So I'm going to click on continue in Outlook and it's going to sign me in to my account. And okay, so it's kind of done a bit of that, right? It's created the email, great. It's picked the times that it believes I'm available. I don't have any meetings in this fictitious diary, so it's done that. But it hasn't actually put any context in there at all. So there's no files, there's nothing in here at all. But it's given me a starting point as a new event. So I'm going to come back out of here and I'm going to say. I'm just going to say go ahead. Let's see what happens. Go ahead. Do your stuff. Come on, Copilot. You're probably quite bored watching this, but I'm finding this quite intriguing to kind of see how it goes, right? It's finalizing invites. So, okay, great. Let's do your stuff. We're going to pause again just while we let Copilot run through its thing. So we're back. Okay, so actioned. Brilliant. Let's see. I've created 3 invites. Okay. This is the body of the text. Now, Okay, so it's now saying, I've created these for you. You now need to go and paste this in. That's what I think it's telling me, right? Invite body, copy, paste, block. So that's the text for the screener. Okay, attach. Okay. That looks like it's gone a little bit wrong there. It's not actually any files. Okay, it's fine. Evidence request emails, fine. What I'll do when you click next. Okay. So what I'll do next, once you click send. So it's not sent it, has it? So it definitely has kind of confused itself in what it thinks it's able to do. You know, I can't see any of the emails, so I'm going to tell it that. So I feel we've kind of got into this loop now with it, but you know, to be honest, where it got to before was more than sufficient for what it done. You know, I had a personal email for each person. I had the text. I had the updated aspects of it. You know, it seems to really be struggling here with the files. So it's telling me it's created .eml files, which therefore should open into Outlook, but it's just not creating them for some reason. It's even telling me how to go and do it, right? You know, here's how you do it. But in fact, it's gone back to that kind of default of saying, look, you know, copy and paste these things. Here's the email to John. Here's the email to Angelica, and here's the email to Sunish. So, you know, this is more than sufficient for me, right? It's really struggling, obviously, to do this function. It can't send this for me. I was quite amazed actually when it had done what it had done before. So yeah, not really quite sure where to go next. You can kind of see my own reasoning. Am I happy with this? Do I want to keep trying? You know, I'll give it one more go. Create me the email files again. You know, create me the .email files again. I couldn't. So going to give it one more go. I don't think it will do this. It's got so close. I'm actually really impressed with how far it's gone. And it just kind of shows you where this is evolving, right? But you know, I've had such a long dialogue, you know, 30 odd minutes of dialogue with Copilot, trying to get it to do these things for me. Yeah, it's getting confused. It thinks it can. It's now told me it can't generate the files. So, you know, it's confused itself around its capability. It did kind of actually create me them before. Yeah, you can kind of see where I'm going with this stuff. But, you know, again, really great start. I think, you know, this gives me exactly what I kind of need to do. Then I can do it. So I'm just going to say thank you. Really useful. And there we go. And I'm kind of done. So hopefully this was useful to just see how I was using Copilot in this way, the way I kind of explored with it, the kind of levels of interaction, the depth that Microsoft 365 Copilot can go into, and the reasoning that it uses behind the scenes. So thank you for watching. Tell me how you get on. You know, tell me how you're getting on with your agent builds. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.